It's not genetics. These 10 mistakes that prevent your chest from ever growing. The chest is, without a doubt, one of the most important muscles for a masculine physique. Along with the abs, it forms practically the entire front of your physique, responsible for conveying that impression of strength, power, and symmetry that we all seek. A well-developed chest literally transforms your appearance. Conversely, a chest without volume can completely ruin your physique. No matter how big your arms or how wide your shoulders are, if your chest is weak, your silhouette becomes unbalanced and lacks visual impact. And unfortunately, many people who don't see results in their chest, despite doing several exercises per week, start to think the problem is genetics. Oh, I don't have the genetics for a big chest. My body doesn't respond in this muscle. When in reality, it's some simple mistakes that most people make that prevent this muscle from growing. So today, you'll see the 10 mistakes that are preventing your chest from growing. Stay until the end, because mistake number 6 is the most common of all. Before we begin, please tell us through the comments your name and the city from where you're watching our content. We'd love to know. Mistake number 1, incorrect exercise selection. Everyone knows that the flat bench press is the king of chest exercises. But did you know that focusing only on it is one of the biggest mistakes you can make? The chest is not a single uniform muscle, but rather a complex muscle group with different portions that need specific stimulation. The truth is that your chest has upper, middle, and lower portions, and each responds better to different angles and exercises. When you only do exercises on a flat bench, like the traditional flat bench press, you're mainly working the middle portion, leaving other regions underdeveloped. To properly develop the upper portion, which is usually the most difficult to grow, you need to incorporate exercises such as the incline bench press, decline push-ups, and the low cable crossover. These variations change the working angle and direct mechanical stress to the upper part of your chest. For the middle portion, in addition to the flat bench press, exercises such as the machine fly are excellent for creating that muscle separation in the middle of the chest that greatly enhances aesthetics. As for the lower portion, the high cable crossover, parallel bars, and decline bench press are the best choices. They work the lower region of the chest, which gives that finishing touch to your physique when well developed. The secret lies in a balanced combination of exercises with different angles. This ensures complete development without those imbalances that compromise aesthetics and even muscle function. Number 2, using the triceps and shoulders more than the chest. Have you ever felt that you're killing yourself doing bench press and other chest exercises, but when you get to the end of the yay workout, what's really sore are your triceps and shoulders? This is a clear sign that you're shifting tension to the secondary muscles instead of focusing on the chest. When the angle of your arms is too close to your trunk during exercises like the bench press, the triceps end up dominating the movement and the chest takes a back seat. It's like trying to water a plant, but letting the water fall outside the pot. All your effort is going to the wrong place. The solution to this problem starts with proper positioning. Your elbows should be at approximately 45-degree bows relative to your body during exercises like the bench press. Avoid keeping your hands too close on the bar or your elbows too wide, as both extremes hinder chest activation. To improve the mind-muscle connection with the chest, isolation exercises like flies are excellent, as they have less triceps involvement. They help you learn how to properly contract the chest during movements. You'll know you're doing it right when you feel that concentrated tension in the middle of the chest, as if you were squeezing something between your arms. Over time, this sensation will become familiar, and you can reproduce it even in multi-joint exercises like the bench press. Number 3, inadequate volume of sets. How many sets per week do you dedicate to your chest? If you answered less than 10 or more than 20, you're probably on the wrong track. Training volume is one of the most important variables for hypertrophy, and getting this number right is essential for muscle growth. Doing too few sets, like 4 to 5 per week, simply doesn't generate enough stimulus to trigger the hypertrophy process. It's like trying to fill a bucket with just a few drops of water at a time. Progress will be too slow to be noticeable. The optimal point for most people is between 10 and 20 weekly sets for the chest, intelligently distributed throughout the week. It's important to note that this number is not absolute and can vary according to your training level and individual recovery capacity. Beginners usually respond well to lower volumes, close to 10 weekly sets, while intermediates and advanced can gradually progress to 12 to 20 sets. What matters is finding your personal magic number. To discover your ideal volume, you need to test and evaluate. If after 48 hours of a workout you still have intense muscle soreness and are unable to train again, the volume is probably excessive. Reduce some sets. On the other hand, if the next day you feel absolutely nothing, it may be an indication to increase the stimulus a bit. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Having constant access to science-based information is what will make you progress with health in the long term in the weightlifting world. Number 4. Not retracting the shoulder blades before the movement. This is a subtle technical error, but with enormous consequences. Many people simply lie down on the bench and start pushing the weight without properly preparing the base of the movement. The position of your scapulae, or shoulder blades, is fundamental for efficient and safe chest work. Leaving the scapulae loose during exercises like the bench press causes much of the work to migrate to the shoulders and triceps, significantly reducing the stimulus on the chest. It's necessary to retract the shoulder blades before starting the movement, keeping them firm against the bench. This scapular retraction positions the chest in a more open and mechanically advantageous way to receive tension during the exercise. It's like stretching an elastic band before pulling it. You create an initial position that maximizes the work of the target muscle. Besides improving muscle activation, fixing the shoulder blades against the bench significantly reduces the risk of shoulder injuries. Without this solid base, the shoulder joint becomes vulnerable, which can lead to pain, inflammation, and even tendon ruptures over time. The correction is simple. Before starting any chest exercise, bring your shoulder blades together as if you wanted to join them on your back and maintain this position throughout the exercise. It's like trying to squeeze an orange between your shoulder blades. A practical way to train this position is, even before grabbing the bar, to firmly support your shoulder blades against the bench and slightly lift your chest. You should feel a slight tension in your back and notice that your chest naturally comes more forward. For beginners, I recommend practicing this position first without weight, just lying on the bench, to develop the necessary body awareness. Over time, this will become automatic, and you won't even need to think about it. Number 5. Low range of motion. Weight before form. This is a dangerous mantra that I see many men following in the gym. Sacrificing range of motion for the use of heavy loads is a serious mistake that drastically limits the hypertrophy stimulus in your chest. A complete movement in the bench press, for example, allows the chest to stretch completely in the lower part of the movement and fully contract in the upper part. This full range significantly increases the microlesions in the muscle fibers, which are the primary trigger for growth. Doing only half of the path, like those half bench presses that we frequently see in the gym, means losing a large part of that stimulus. It's like planting seeds just on the surface of the soil and expecting them to grow properly. It simply doesn't work. The ideal is to leave your ego aside and choose a weight that allows you to descend in a controlled manner, feeling the chest working throughout its entire extension. You should feel a comfortable but noticeable stretch in the lower part of the movement. A good reference in the bench press is to let the bar lightly touch your chest in the eccentric phase and extend your arms in the concentric phase. For other exercises like flies, seek the greatest comfortable range that doesn't cause discomfort in the joints. High numbers on the bar without adequate range are just self-deception that doesn't generate real gains. It's better to do 8 perfect repetitions with 175 pounds than 12 partial repetitions with 220 pounds. In the long run, the difference in results will be striking. For those with joint limitations that prevent full range, there are alternatives. Guided machines can offer a safer path, and exercises like cable flies allow individualized range adjustments. Number 6. Training chest only once a week. We've arrived at the most common mistake of all. The idea of dedicating an entire day of the week exclusively to the chest, the famous Monday is chest day, is deeply rooted in the bodybuilding culture. But is this approach really efficient? Science shows us that it's not. The muscle recovers between 48 to 72 hours after intense training, and after this period is ready to be stimulated again. When you train the chest only once every 7 days, you're leaving the muscle inactive for too long, wasting valuable growth opportunities. Think of it this way. If you train your chest on Monday, by around Wednesday or Thursday, it would already be recovered and ready for new stimulus. But if you follow the traditional model, you'll only train it again the following Monday, leaving 3 to 4 days of potential growth simply on the table. Dividing the weekly volume into 2 sessions allows you to train more rested and with greater intensity on both days. So if you decided that you'll do 16 sets per week, for example, you can do 8 on Monday and 8 on Thursday. This higher frequency also allows you to work the muscle with different approaches. You can, for example, focus on strength and high-load exercises on one day and work with more volume and mind-muscle connection on the other. Studies show that natural athletes tend to respond better to higher frequencies of training for the same muscle group. This is one of the main differences in training for natural versus non-natural athletes. The faster recovery of the latter allows for larger volumes in a single session. Number 7. Not controlling the eccentric phase. You've probably seen those people who practically let the weight drop on the bench press, as if the only part that mattered was pushing the bar up. This mistake is depriving you of perhaps 40% of the hypertrophy potential of each repetition. Letting the weight drop freely on the descent wastes one of the best opportunities to generate controlled microlesions in the fibers. The eccentric phase, in the case of a bench press, the descent, is fundamental for hypertrophy because the fibers elongate under tension, promoting microscopic ruptures that the body repairs with supercompensation. Studies show that positive muscle damage, the kind that leads to growth, occurs mainly during the eccentric phase of the movement. When you don't control this phase, you're basically throwing away half of the exercise's potential. The ideal is to control the descent with a slightly longer time than the ascent, feeling every inch of the movement. A good reference for beginners is to use a ratio of 1.2. If the concentric phase takes 1 second, the eccentric should take about 2 seconds. Balance is essential in this aspect. Don't prolong the eccentric phase so much that it compromises technique or excessively reduces the loads, but also don't drop the weight. Find the middle ground that allows maintaining constant tension in the muscle without compromising execution. An advanced technique is to occasionally include repetitions with eccentric emphasis in your training, using 3 to 4 seconds in the descent phase. This can be particularly effective for breaking through plateaus and stimulating new adaptations. For beginners, I recommend starting with lighter loads to practice eccentric control, gradually increasing as technique improves. It's better to master the movement with smaller weights than to compromise safety and effectiveness with excessive loads. Number 8. Not progressing in load over time. Insanity is doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting different results. This phrase applies perfectly to those who always train with the same weights and expect the chest to continue growing indefinitely. The body only adapts and grows if it's regularly challenged with stimuli greater than those it's already accustomed to. This is the principle of progressive overload, and ignoring it is like trying to fill a cup that's already overflowing. There's simply no room for more. Repeating the same load, repetitions, and sets, week after week, makes the muscle get comfortable and stop evolving. It's like reading the same book repeatedly expecting to learn new information. It doesn't work that way. Progression can happen in various ways, not just by increasing the weight. You can add repetitions, reduce rest intervals, increase time under tension, or improve the technique of the movement. Any change that increases the demand on the muscle counts as progression. A common mistake is to think that progression should be constant and linear. In reality, it tends to follow a more undulating pattern, with periods of rapid gains followed by plateaus. The important thing is to maintain the upward trend over time. Progression should be incremental and safe, generally between 2 to 5% of the previous load, always preserving the range and quality of the movement. Very abrupt increases in load often lead to sacrifices in technique and, consequently, to inferior results and higher risk of injuries. Number 9. Being limited to the number of repetitions. 8 repetitions, no more, no less. This rigidity with numbers can be sabotaging your progress. Training with this inflexible mindset is a mistake that limits your potential for gains in the chest and any other muscle group. Interrupting the set as soon as you reach the prescribed number, even when you have energy for more, prevents you from reaching or approaching muscular failure, which is an important trigger for hypertrophy. It's like stopping running exactly at the 3-mile mark, even when your body could easily continue for a few more minutes. This rigidity makes you miss valuable repetitions that could challenge the muscle fibers even more. If your program indicates 8 repetitions, but you could do 10 or 11 with good form, you're wasting growth opportunities. Use the number of repetitions as a guide, not as an unbreakable rule. If you can do 2 to 3 more repetitions with good form, continue. The ultimate goal is to adequately stimulate the muscle, not simply comply with numbers. Another approach is to work with repetition ranges instead of fixed numbers. For example, instead of setting exactly 8 repetitions, define a range of 6 to 10. This gives flexibility to adjust according to your energy on the day, maintaining adequate stimulus. Always consider the muscle sensation, not just the numbers. What matters is how the muscle is responding to the work, and this doesn't always translate perfectly into precise repetition counts. Sometimes 6 repetitions with total focus on contraction can be more effective than 10 distracted repetitions. Number 10. Failing in diet and hydration. You can have the best genetics in the world for chest, execute all exercises perfectly with impeccable technique, and follow the best training program ever created. But if your nutrition is inadequate, your results will always be limited. Muscle building is a process that happens outside the gym during rest and nutrition. Without the necessary building blocks and adequate anabolic environment, your body simply won't have the resources to rebuild the muscle bigger and stronger. For efficient muscle growth, you need to be in a controlled caloric surplus. This means consuming more calories than you expend, but without excesses. A surplus of 300 to 600 daily calories is ideal for most natural athletes, allowing muscle gain without excessive fat accumulation. Protein is the star macronutrient when we talk about hypertrophy. A consumption of 0.7 to 1 grams of protein per pound of body weight is recommended for weightlifting practitioners. For a man weighing 175 pounds, this represents approximately 122 to 175 grams of protein distributed throughout the day. A common mistake is to concentrate all protein in 1 or 2 meals. Studies show that distributing protein intake over 4 to 6 meals throughout the day optimizes muscle protein synthesis and promotes recovery. Hydration is another aspect frequently neglected. Water actively participates in all metabolic processes, including protein synthesis. Dehydration, even mild, can significantly reduce your performance in workouts and impair muscle recovery. The ideal is to consume at least 0.5 ounces of water per pound of body weight daily. For a man weighing 175 pounds, this means about 87 ounces. On days of intense training or high heat, this volume should be even higher. Don't underestimate the impact of micronutrients like vitamins and minerals. Deficiencies of vitamin D, zinc, and magnesium, for example, can significantly compromise your hormone levels and recovery capacity. A colorful and varied diet, rich in vegetables and fruits, helps prevent these deficiencies. If you enjoyed this and also want to discover the main mistakes that prevent your back from growing, we've left a video appearing right now on the screen showing each one of them in detail. Don't miss it. Thank you for watching this far, and may God bless you, my friend.